Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me on this webinar this afternoon. These some folks are responding to text messages that can't hear and hoping folks to get down. If not, let us know. We'll try to check on technology as an issue this morning, and that's why I had to send out another email with different things so we can on. Got a good number of people. I did see that Cherry K is on, and Cherry K hopefully you can unmute your mic, so I know you'll be chiming in. So,
Still saying there's sound.
Okay, let's see what we can do about the sound here. Okay, am I still unclear? Does it still sound like I'm underwater?
Yes.
Maybe somebody in there.
All right, we're working on it here. Course line. Okay. Yeah, that is a good point. Everyone else can keep their mics, but they're ready to
Oh my gosh. I can't hear.
They can come back on feedback.
Ken, this is Cherry K. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear, Cherry K.
Okay, I'll mute my mic now.
Am I still muffled?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, everybody needs to also make sure that the microphones are all muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, let me mute this microphone. I don't know what's wrong.
If further we see what you're writing, are you typing another message?
Microphone.
Yes.
Definitely not going to get there.
Ken, did you see Kenneth says she's hearing me fine, but it's you that it is distorted.
Yeah, Terry's here trying to help you with that. We're trying to work something out. Perhaps some of the mics that look like a lot of folks have their mics open. Probably part of the problem.
Well, I'll just listen.
Okay, so we're going to do the best we can here. Am I still unclear?
It's a little better, Ken.
Okay. Try to go in and mute some of the mics, so hopefully that helps. We'll just chime right in and do the best we can. And Chair, you can see my slides, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, if it gets too fuzzy and confusing for folks, we may have to kind of tag team this together. You feel free to chime right in at any time to make some points here.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna get right into this, and I apologize for the technical difficulties. It has been part of the day today, it seems, but we're going to talk about program indicators. I've heard quite a bit from agents and from the assistant directors that there was a need. District directors also have expressed an interest in providing some trainings for agents because we know that this is a new report. The concept is not new, but it's still new nonetheless. We want to make sure that everyone had a clear understanding of how these connect with the strategic initiatives that we've been talking about for the past year and as well as how they connect to your plans of work and how they can be utilized for writing your success story. I'm going to provide some examples today. So when we talk about indicators, we're talking about something that is probably not new to many of you. And I noticed that there were some names that were on this morning, so some of this may be a little redundant. But again, this one is going to provide a few more FCS examples. But when we think about indicators, we're thinking about those things that can help us to document success. Looking at the number of people that benefited from our program, the percentage of those that are implementing change as a result of what they learned from the programs that we provided in the counties as well as at the state level. And so when we talk about program indicators, we're just basically tapping into what we already know and what we've been doing in the past. And I also want to make sure it's clear that the program indicator is a very important report. And there have been some concern in the past about how to pull those numbers together because I know there are several of you that have been around a while. I know when I was an agent, part of the method to gathering priority indicators were to just have a sheet passed around to each agent in the office and all contributed our numbers and we just sort of total those up. But now we've got a much better plan in place to help us to aggregate the data much more effectively. And so with that, these indicators will allow us to have something that's similar to a term some of you may have heard described as common measures, where agents are utilizing the same evaluations, therefore we're able to show higher level impact because we're able to aggregate that data, not just from counties and districts, but at the state level as well. So why are we moving into program indicators? As I mentioned, it's really not a major shift from the priority indicators. But again, with the priority indicators, we didn't have a lot of structure as to how best to gather those numbers. And now we really want agents to utilize the evaluation tools that are available for them. Now we have reduced the number of reports. We no longer have the feature program questions, but the way the feature program questions, the data was gathered is very similar to the way we'll be gathering program indicators. And again, as I mentioned, it's going to help us to really improve the way we capitalize on the success story that we're gathering, and also just being more intentional about looking at statewide data so that it can be used in many reports that we are called upon to give to our stakeholders at any given time, whether it's the president or the provost wanting something on a particular topic or a legislator, you name it, the dean of the college. We want to be able to provide that for people. We all have to be on the same page. So I've put together a few screenshots here. Not quite sure how clear they are, and there are some links here where I may go to the internet. But of course, with the internet, I want to make sure no one gets kicked off, or I can't get back into the screen sharing here. So I want to provide some screenshots so that you can see what I'm referring to. So this would be your page that agents would see. You've got a link under the service log and the NAPED reports. There's a link now for program indicators. And we haven't had a lot of agents to submit the data for program indicators, but that is available. It can be entered at any time. So it's not something that you have to wait till the end of the year. It's just like the success stories, your service log. It can be entered at any time if you're conducting a program within the areas. So in addition to providing that access in CURS, it's also an effort on behalf of the specialists. This director's Chair K in this example has worked with FCS specialists to develop evaluations for use by agents. And so when agents are conducting a program, they should be able to access those evaluations on the FCS website. I'm pretty sure most of you know where those are. And print those evaluations out and use them so clientele can complete those evaluations, and then those numbers are entered into CURS. We also wanted to make sure we provided access to the materials for program and staff development. So if you look at the top of the program and staff development page, we've got a tab that says Program Evaluation Tool. When you click on that, you'll go to the page where all of the strategic initiatives, the logic models, those resources are housed. And once you click on strategic initiatives, you will go to the page where you can access those links to your respective program area strategic initiative pages. So, Family Consumer Sciences, again, I do know that you've got these set up on a particular site where you log in, and I just included a few links here so that I can go and just point those out. So I'm going to click on the Making Healthy Lifestyle Choices link here, so we'll see what it does. Not doing anything. That's a sign that I may want to stay away from. So, but this would take, these links will take you to those pages, like, again, as I mentioned, you're probably familiar with those, where you can access the logic models, the pre and post evaluation that you'll use with your clientele for all 7 initiatives.
Can
Yeah.
we stop and let me make sure that everybody knows where this internal page is?
Absolutely.
And where these where the initiative website is, because I know we've got several new agents on. So if
right here.
If you do not know where those are, and feel free to email me or let me know so that I can make sure that you get access to it. It's at the internal website, and it says something along the lines of program, or shoot, I can't remember what it's called, but initiatives, program planning initiatives or something along those lines.
And Chair K, you're referring to the FCS internal website, correct?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So that's where all of Ken's links here that you're seeing on the screen, that's where those links are leading you to, is our internal website, the Family and Consumer Sciences Initiatives. It's a colorful website.
Okay. So this next screen here, and I'm really glad I included these screenshots now because it's not allowing me to go to the internet. So when you click on the program indicators link on your CURS homepage, you'll see a drop-down list of all the major programs that are under each initiative. So for example, at the top here, FCS Making Healthy Lifestyle Choices is the strategic initiative. And underneath that, you've got all the major programs that are associated with it. And so I'm going to walk you through an example on the following here that I'm highlighting, taking ownership of your diabetes program. So when we click on that one, we'll see all of the indicators that are associated with that particular program. And so this the indicators that you see here are directly taken from the evaluation that is to be used when agents are conducting a program around diabetes if they're focusing on this particular curriculum. And so the next slide, where you can see here that there are just zeros. So when you put your numbers in, the system will hold those numbers until you go back in to make a change. So let's say if I've got a program tonight that's related to this one, and 30 people attend, and I want to put numbers in, then I put the 30 in for any one of these particular indicators, and that number 30 will remain. Let's say a month, 2 months later, I do another program that's related to this, and I want to respond to that same indicator, and I have another 30 people, and I go in and I change that number to 60. So it will keep that number. You'll just have to add to it. Another question that I've had agents ask about this is it going to change if I have another agent in the office that's that's conducting the same program and they're putting those numbers in? It's an individual report. When you log into KERS, it's your individual numbers that you see. But when you go to the reports page, and hopefully most of you know where that is, and by the reports page, I'm talking about the page that compiles all of the data that we submit into KERS, agent specialist associates. When you go there to click on program indicators, what you will see there would be the county numbers that are total. So again, the system, when you log into KERS, you're going to see the numbers that you've been entering over the year. But the system at the same time will be compiling the county numbers.
So Ken, if they went to our reports page, could they see the county totals?
Yes. Yeah.
So on their page, they're going to see their numbers, and on our page, they'll see the county numbers.
The county numbers, right. And so you'll only see the counties they have submitted. We haven't had any counties, very few counties to submit up to the point program indicator. But you will see those there. So if you want to look at your numbers, just log into KERS and you'll see what you've entered over. So this screen here includes the page that I just left in KERS, where you see taking ownership of your diabetes program. Those are the indicators. And then to the left of the screen is the actual evaluation that's used. And you can see that these items on the evaluation are exactly the same as what's in the indicators list. So the first one is states, I have lost 5 to 7% of my body weight after completing the program. And the first indicator is stated the number of individuals who lost 5 to 7% of their body weight. So if I'm conducting this, and many of these questions are questions on this particular program, is more so a post-type evaluation. So a lot of this information will be gathered sometime after they participate. But let's say if I follow up with those participants, those 30 participants that I used as an example a few minutes ago, and I total up the number of people out of that 30 that checked yes. So let's say 15 people checked yes for the first one, that they lost 5 to 7% of their body weight. So I take that total number and place it into KERS for that particular indicator, and the 15 goes there. If I follow up again, say another month or several weeks later, and I've got another 10 people to indicate that they've lost 5 to 7% of their body weight, and I add that number to the 15 that's already in here. And so that's how the evaluation will enter that information. So I think that's going to be a lot easier as agents get into this, because as I mentioned, with the prior indicators, you really didn't have a guide. It was, we need the numbers, come up with those numbers as best you can. I know a lot of agents use your statisticals to come up with those numbers, but with the evaluation here, I think that's going to be helpful to give you something concrete that you can look back to provide those numbers into the system. And so this next page, I've got an example of what those numbers would look like. So the first time, after the first event, sometime we put those numbers in based on the responses that we received from that evaluation, from that survey. And so you see the numbers that have been entered by an agent here for each one of those indicators. And hit submit data, of course, to make sure your numbers are secure, because if you don't, then they're gonna be lost, or if you get canceled, it'll start over. So just make sure you get submit data there. But that's the same as it is now with the feature, as it was with the feature programs and with the priority indicator. And so this is an example of numbers that have been entered throughout the year. So you can say that this example here would be numbers that we're looking at the end of the fiscal year, so end of June possibly, maybe early May, where we've been conducting this, taking ownership of your diabetes program consistently, and then enter those numbers. So this next page, of course, as I mentioned this morning, breaking all the PowerPoint rules here with all the verbiage here, but I wanted to provide you with an example of how you can take those same numbers that were entered from that slide here, the totals, and write a success story. So if we're looking at this, we're seeing that we're providing some background information to let folks know why it was important that we focus on it. And there is no question that diabetes is an issue in Kentucky, and in most counties there is a need to provide some educational programming towards that. And so we talk about partners that we work with in this particular county, that the agent indicated the partner, Regional Health Center, and indicating what was done. There were sponsored workshops for adults and youth. They give the number that throughout the year, as we know, 400 adults and youth participated in the workshops that we conducted. They were surveyed several weeks after the workshop to follow up and see what outcomes were presented. And as a result of that, we see the percentage, 25%. So that 25% is just coming from the 100 who reported. So the 100 is 25% of the 400. So it's just basically taking that easy percentage there, percentage that lost weight. A total of 250 reported becoming physically active. So that number was entered over the year. So we have that. And then we also have some other points here that were included in that story, that 100% of the participants are seeing a healthcare professional at least once a week. They're checking their A1C, checking their glucose one or more times a day, and they're accomplishing at least one health goal set for themselves in the last month. So that's the information that could come from that prior program indicator alone. And I don't think anyone could argue that that information that is shared there is meaningful data, not just for your county, but again, reminding you that this information is going to be compiled for the state. So we're just looking at one county here, but imagine the numbers that we have, the impressive number of impact that we continue looking at this statewide though. And again, as I mentioned, this is just from those numbers, but we all want to recognize the fact that once we conduct our programs, when we're in counties, we encounter people all the time that have been past participants, whether it's at local events, grocery store, church, you name it, that may tell us about some other things that have happened as a result of their participation. So I wanted to share here a higher level outcome at the long-term or social cultural level, where we see the youth that participate in this program are now leading workshops at their local high school, and they're inspiring their peers to take more efforts to eat healthy meals and more nutritious snacks, and they're also educating their family members on the issues around diabetes. So the first part, as I mentioned, is something that could be compiled from that report, but also we need to make sure we understand that we can always gather a little more information that's more in depth just from the testimony that we hear from others. So I also provided a few more examples here. Just Chair Kay and I talked about this. She thought it would be a good idea just to share what the other program areas had done. 4-H, this is an example of their general 4-H program. And if you look at the items here, they do have these items on all all of their surveys. But many of these we're well aware of the impact that 4-H has on young people in Kentucky and beyond. And so a lot of these indicators are pretty straightforward. For example, the first one being memory. A number of you indicated they know how to use information they're given to make decisions. The vast majority of our 4-H programs should be aiming to help young people become better, more effective decision makers. And so even though the survey may not be utilized there, most 4-H agents have some grasp of that occurring within their program. And so those numbers could probably be entered based on any program that they're conducting. So they wanted to be a little bit more general with this particular one, but they do have other initiatives where they're more specific, similar to the ones with 4-H. FCS, I'm sorry. Excuse me. And so you can see those numbers that would be entered the same as the example I shared with you with the 4-H diabetes example. And here's an example of a 4-H success story that could be written based on those numbers. And again, some of the same pieces that are highlighted, the purpose of the program, target audience that we're trying to reach, that the level of awareness and skills that were developed, how skills were utilized as a result of them learning how to make more effective decisions. They actually did it. And then we see some adopted practices there. These were identified based on the evaluation tools that they were using and entered into the courses. So all of this information was pulled from that particular program indicator. Here is one that's related to agricultural resources. And with this particular one, Urban Environments is a water quality program. And they took a different approach with this one. If you look at the indicators, there are 6 indicators here. And 3 of the indicators are pre-evaluation survey items. The other 3 are post-evaluation survey items. So an agent would be able to enter the pre-evaluation after the first meeting relating to this Urban Environments Water Quality program. And then after a follow-up later, they would give another follow-up evaluation and use that instrument, total up the numbers from those, and go back in and enter those numbers for the post. So just reading a few here. The first one says the number of individuals who plan to engage in decision-making activities and actions that affect water quality. So of course that's going to be given probably at the beginning or at the end of the workshop or seminar that they're hosting. They want to know how many of them plan to go out and do something. So we're talking about intentions here. And then the next one reads number of individuals who made informed decisions that affect water quality. So at that point, it's a follow-up, say a month or 2 later. They want to know who actually did what they planned on doing. So here is the next slide. You can see it more clearly, hopefully, where you've got the indicators, and then you've got the pre-test and the post-test. And so, of course, the pre-test, the items are going to be worded differently than what you see among the program indicator. So, for example, one of the pre-test items would be, I plan to engage in decision-making about daily activity and action, whereas the indicator just notes the number of individuals because the agent is tooling up everyone that checked yes here and putting that number in the first indicator. And then you've got the post evaluation where they can do the same. So here's just an example of the total numbers that have been entered over the year. And this is just a breakdown of a success story. This first piece here includes information from a situation statement from the state logic model that was created by the state specialist that's in charge of this particular initiative. So that feel free to use those. That's why they were developed, to present ideas as to why this is something that should be pursued in the county. And then the next part here indicates what was actually done as a result of the issue that presented itself in the county. So they're talking about the series of workshops. They didn't know that over the course of 6 months, so they're given that time frame, 300 residents participated, and that there was an evaluation that was completed. And this last part, again, a lot of text, but it's just information that's coming from that program indicator that's noting the number of people that participated, as well as the number of people who actually went out and did something differently, implemented some best management practices on their property, completed soil tests as needed. So you're able to take a number there and really put some meat to the success story instead of just noting that 300 people participated and they had a great time. Here we're actually seeing that as a result of that program, these people went out and about and they actually utilized some of the great information that they gathered to extend.
One of the questions, Ken, has to do with are they supposed to do 3 major programs per year? And that may be a question for Cherry K.
Yeah, that is a question for Cherry K. Do you want to address that, Cherry K? The question is, are we still supposed to do 3 major programs per year?
Yes, last year we suggested developing and working toward at least 2 to 3 major programs per year.
Okay.
And yes, major programs, Brenda, are what we used to call featured programs. So I would encourage you, whatever major program you are planning to do, make it a major emphasis. That would be one that you will market like crazy. That you may have a community partner that's working with you on it. Hopefully it is multiple sessions so that folks have time to change their practices and to improve behaviors. And hopefully you can see that change over time. If you cannot, maybe you need to do a follow-up survey later to see what kinds of things changed. So you evaluate them, your major programs, really well so that we can see what difference it truly did make.
Cherry K.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Natalie.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question sort of kind of to piggyback or follow up on that. You talked about doing a series of classes so we can see the behavior change, but what about those times where we have that one-time class where we do pre-post evaluations? For example, I'm going into the high school tomorrow to teach making healthy beverage choices out of the major program curriculum, making healthy lifestyle choices. However, the ready-made evaluation for that lesson is great, but it does not align specifically with any program indicators, because all of the program indicators for making healthy lifestyle choices are related to making better food choices, fruits and vegetables,
series.
And the whole series. So how are we supposed to report when we only have the opportunity to do a one-time class like that?
What each of the initiatives also has a general set of indicators, and those general indicators are just that. They look more like the priority indicators that we had last year. In fact, some of them are exactly the same, and they are intended to be a little bit more general and are indicators that we hope people would reach if they did programs related to that area outside of those major programs. So in what you're describing right there, I would suggest if you're using only one small piece of a curriculum and the program indicators don't seem to reflect the outcomes very well, I would look at the general indicators and see if there are outcomes that might be appropriate. For example, let's see, one of the outcomes for making healthy lifestyle choices general are those individuals that made a lifestyle change, diet, exercise. We could think about possibly water, increased water consumption as being, or a switch from sugary drinks to water might be rational. It would be a rational thought to include that or think of that as a change in diet. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
And I would say that, well, also the first one there might also be appropriate. The general sections were designed, or those general outcomes were designed really for those programs that you do that are not major programs. But we didn't want to lose that data because we know that you are learning things from or that our participants are learning things from that. Brenda also asked about truth and consequences. That is one of our major programs that's not a multiple session. So I realize that the majority are multiple sessions, but truth and consequences, we have a set of indicators that are exactly what the same indicators that we've been using the past few years since it was a featured program. So when it comes to truth and consequences, we do ask a lot about the parents, the students, and the community partners, and then a little bit of follow-up information. And in the in CURS, those indicators are attached to those indicators are where you can find those numbers if you use the surveys and the evaluation tools that come with truth and consequences. Does that help, Brenda? And it does take, yes, it does take months to work on that because you're working with a lot of community partners, and those are some of the indicators that we want to capture. Is not necessarily the time, but the number of community partners that have worked with you and have learned some things through that.
Chair Kay, do you want to speak on what you touched base on there about multiple sessions and the best way that you want agents to handle that? When I think of multiple sessions, for example, with statistical, of course, we have duplicates. If we have people participating in multiple programs, we count them as many times as they come in to the programs. But if they're participating in a program, and say if we're doing a pre and a post, I'm assuming you're not wanting them to count those coming into the pre as duplicates, but they will be counted in the post instead of the pre 2 or 3 times, correct?
That is correct. Most of the outcomes are about things that happened after the program or throughout the duration of the program. So our pre-data would not be something that we would record, just the post data. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because most of the outcomes are past tense. Not all of them, but most of them are, how many people reported an increase in XYZ, or how many people developed or followed a plan that they developed maybe in the educational session itself. So most of the indicators are what did they do with the information they got. Yes, Brenda, sometimes you have to have both to know whether they increased or not. Correct.
And you do have some of those on your pages. You
Yes.
got some
We
that pre and post.
Yes. We have pre and post on the curriculum, among the curriculum resources. In KERS, most of the time we're recording in KERS the changes.
And Brenda had another comment there about the questionnaires and surveys different, and that's something. Go ahead, Chair Day.
Yeah, Brenda, I'll look into that. Let me tell everybody that Ken and I sat down and took a look at some of the things really closely, our evaluation tools and our indicators, and we are working in our office to try to make sure that if they're not the exact same verbiage, if they're not very apparent, we're developing a kind of I don't know, we'll call it reporting guidelines or reporting tips or something along those lines, so that we make it a little bit more clear where you would get the numbers to put into these into KERS. Any other questions, specific questions about any of our programs and the indicators? But Brenda, I am making a note to check into that. I know the Truth and Consequences evaluations changed, and it's those were updated, and it's possible we updated them one place and not the other, and I apologize, because if that happened, we'll try to get that taken care of.
I've got a slide up here that talks about a few quick tips as we go into more questions, and please feel free to ask or type those if you have them. But again, as you're doing right now, make sure you contact your specialist and converse with Cherry Kay on your needs, because that's the only way that we're going to know if things are working. And so you providing this insight about, for example, with some of the questionnaires and some of your issues with those, that's how we improve. That's how we improve this model that we have going forward. And we feel pretty confident that once everything's up and going, we work out the kinks. This is the first time, so there's some bugs there, but this is really going to take our reporting to another level. And we're not just talking about the federal report that goes to USDA, but I'm hoping you saw some clear examples of how this can help with success stories too, individual success stories, as well as the state level reports that we pull together to document what we're doing. So this is definitely going to be a team effort, and we're hoping that it's going to make life much simpler for agents, because we don't want agents spending tons of time developing evaluations. I know some of you have a knack for that. I see some of the names on there. But really, I know your passion, most of you, is the program development. And when we can, and when I say we, I'm talking about state staff, FCS agent, specialist, program and staff development. When we can provide those resources to you to make your job easier, that's what we want to do. And so that's the goal here. I hope that's clear, that it's to make life easier and not to add to the pile of work. Asking for clear explanations of things as far as the materials. If you don't understand something, please ask. Making sure that with all the resources that you have on the FCS side, there are various audiences where you can use many different resources that are available there. And then also making sure that you continue to work smarter, as you always do, with utilizing this data to write your success stories and show that level of impact that we know you're conducting or achieving there in your county.
Absolutely. Yes, I wanted to just reiterate, if it's unclear, please ask, because it's hard for us to know sometimes, where the struggles are. And, Ken and I have looked at these so many times that, it may be completely clear to us. In fact, Ken said that to me one day. Well, Cherry Kay, well, yeah, it's clear to you, but it's hard for us to step outside and look at it from a different perspective. So please let us know. Don't hesitate a second to ask questions. And we do have a small window of time here where we can tweak these and make it more clear next year. But we can't wait until June 30th or July 15th to tweak them. So as you get in there and as you start reporting using these indicators, when it's not clear, please ask so that we can make it better for next year.
And so that's a good segue. What you have now in the current system for your program indicators and your major programs, those will remain throughout the year through June 30th. But we are working to make updates for July 1. So if you have some thoughts about certain major programs or some of the indicators, some things are not clear, evaluations are not clear, make sure you get that to Cherry Kay so that she can get the feedback to me and we can get it in the system and it's ready for the next fiscal year. So just want to let you know, if you have some comments and you don't see those changes within the next couple months, just know that we're already set for this current year that we're in, and the curve system is already gathering data on some of this, so we don't want to make a shift in the middle of that. But as of July 1 is when whatever changes that I receive will be implemented into the system for the next year. Any other questions or comments? Well, I hope this was helpful in providing some understanding as to what we do with this new report. And I hope you can see some of the benefits and share those with your colleagues, your counties, and your districts. And don't hesitate to contact me or Pam Sigler or anyone else when it comes to evaluation, because we want to make sure that we're all working together. And Cherry Kay and I will continue to work on improving the FCS initiatives. And I've always bragged on FCS. I thought you all have done a great job in setting the stage for the other program areas years ago. But there's always room for improvement, and it's always good to know that if we're striving for improvement, then we're moving in the right direction. So, but a lot of good work being done on the FCS side, and I'm proud to say that I'm a part of some of that change. So, Cherry Kay, we'll just keep working on it.
Yes, we will. Oh, there's a question about community and economic development, Ken.
Is CED doing the same? Yes, they are. They are very much aware that many of those major programs, the titles are unclear. And, of course, they've changed those names drastically from what they were called as PAT codes. So their team is working together as well to make some changes.
Let me add one other thing. If you guys are collecting data, if you know of outcomes that you're reaching in your counties and you don't find any place to record that, we want to capture it. So please let me know that as well. We did try to add some things that we had not captured in the past few years, and that's some of the leadership outcomes that we see with KEHA. So we are trying to capture. We've added a few of those this year, but if there are other things that you're not that you're measuring, that you're capturing, but you have no place to report it in KERS, please let me know. We don't want to lose it. We don't want to lose that data.
I'm going back to a question that Lynn had about the recording. We are recording, so it should be available. Cherry Kay, I'll work with you to decide where we want to post it.
Okay. Any other questions at all?
attending. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Ken, and thank you, agents, for participating.
Absolutely.